Hi guys, it's Dandelion Song with Records of the Grand Historian, and I really should make a post on my blog. But I wanted to bring you this website. This is something that New Agers are paying attention to, the Cobra interviews, and I've done some gematria on this, and I have some things to summarize for you and just share with you because I think that some of this is worth looking at. Now, the main message that Cobra has been giving people is that there will be an energy event, and it does sound, the way he describes it, it does sound a little like a rapture event, except for people don't disappear. But he describes it as an overwhelming energy event. Now, I did the gematria on that, and I'm going to show that to you. But before we get there, I wanted to show you his website. This is the website where he, this person named Cobra, I actually saw one of these in the sky over my house, and I took a picture of it. It even has this little thing on the top. Let me zoom out here. Okay, so he does, Cobra does updates here, and sometimes he puts coded messages and things in here. Well, what I wanted to just first of all give you an overview. There's a lot of information here. This is at 2012portal.blogspot.ca, but what I wanted to first show you was the gematria. So if we look at the portal, I went right down to the English and the simple gematria. I wanted to show you that this matches some of the things that we've already been seeing, in also the 6-9. We've seen this a lot. So I'm not so much saying that these are Freemasons, although Cobra does claim to be very connected with all of the powerhouses of the Illuminati. So it's hard to imagine him not being in one of those groups to be able to have that kind of access. So I wanted to show this to you. These are all the same. These are the same numbers that we have been looking at over and over again. Now, the main message that he seems to have is that there will be an event. Well, his message is a little more hopeful, compared to some of the 923 scares that are on the internet. He says that the 923 scares are basically the dark taking advantage of the feelings that people have about these times and about the climax of these events, and that there basically will not be. He refuses to comment on a comet. He refuses to comment on that. But he basically says that what's going to give you there will be some earthquakes, but it won't be to the extent that people are worried about. There will be a financial reset where the banking system will be taken away from the dark, but it won't be a complete devaluation to the point that households will struggle for basic goods. However, Cobra does recommend every single time avidly that you take your money out of the banks right away, put it in something physical like silver or gold, or invest it in some kind of good community work for your community. So I just wanted to bring you some of these updates. Some of these, it takes a lot of time to study Cobra's information, and I have only probably studied like 25% of it. But Cobra claims to speak to what he calls the Galactic Confederation, and I did their numbers, and I wish I could switch right over to this other camera so that I could show you my book. But let me tell you, now I know I did this. Okay, well, first of all, let's just I did some of his key phrases. I guess I didn't do Galactic Confederation that I can see. He talks about the resistance. This is the resistance to the Dark Cabal. Resistance has the numbers 146 and 876 in the simple and the English, and that matches the color pink, United Kingdom, Enlightenment, Leonardo da Vinci, New Jerusalem, the Apocalypse, the Prince of Wales, and then in the Jewish gematria, it equals manifestation oh no, this is still the simple in the English, manifestation of the universe in Om Mani Padme Hum. So when people are using these phrases, like if he says the resistance over and over again, you are getting the frequency message of these other things that I mentioned. So you're sort of cluing into the power of these other statements. So I don't know if Cobra's actually using this in the way that the regular media does, where they are lending power to their statements by frequency association, or if he just picked this and it actually does esoterically line up with these things. Let me pause this for a second. All right, so this is the Gematria for the Galactic Confederation, and this is supposedly different from the Galactic Federation, which some people follow. I believe that the Galactic Federation is negative military. Negative military that's working with negative star beings. Actually, I think that's what the Galactic Federation is. So he says this is the Confederation. So that's a small difference. This is, I'll show you the phraseology of this one, the Galactic Confederation, and then, but I just wanted to, it's a little hard to see down here, but I wanted to show you some of these associations that may be either valid or they're trying to use the association of this. All right, so here, when you just put Galactic Confederation in, we have this number, which I think really is a powerful number in the human psyche. I think the humans really do listen. And then this number is, of course, the star matrix number, and then we have the pentacle with it. And here are the Jewish Gematria associations. There aren't too many, but let's look down here. Since it's a bigger number, then you get these phrases. So Galactic Confederation matches World Trade Center. Now, I guess you could see that in that they burnt down the World Trade Center. So it could, and also when the World Trade Centers, fell, there were a lot of 110 numbers associated with it. So you could almost wonder if the World Trade Center sacrifice or whatever was, a sacrifice on many levels. I think they did it on some sacred day numbers, 9/11. Casey with End of the Stars says that is Yahshua's either conception or birthday, but it also could be that they are trying to burn down or have a negative association with possibly a Galactic Confederation. So it's up for you to decide or to think, to just, weigh these codes, weigh the clues. Feast of Trumpets, that is, I believe the Feast of Trumpet is Yom Kippur. All right, so I want to show you these associations so that you know what, when you hear that word, Galactic Confederation, these are the things that kind of ring in your subconscious. Raptured saints. All right, so Cobra talks about the chimera groups, that these are part of the negative control aspect of the dark Kabbalah on our planet, and they must be removed. So I wanted to show you what a chimera looks like. So I had to put ancient in here because otherwise you get modern chimeras. So this has, the kind of the Santa hat. I forget what this is called, this kind of hat. It's a special kind of hat. And most of these chimeras have more than one head. So that was a Hittite chimera. This is on a coin. Doesn't say, 380 BC. So there's another chimera. Oh, you can actually see it better with the highlight. There's another chimera. This is an Etruscan chimera. So it seems like they have a head growing out of their back, reliably. Here's another one with an antelope head growing out of its back. His Greek dish is one of the most ancient existing images of the chimera myth. Cobra says this is not a myth. These are actually existing, and that the Galactic Confederation is working to remove them from our planet and to liberate our planet. So I just bring this to you for your information and for my information too. It's, you know, I feel like we have to kind of nail down these concepts and look at the artwork and try to just become familiar with this. Let's go back here. Okay, so these are chimeras. So there's more two-headed chimeras here. So Cobra says they are removing these. Now I did the Gematria on chimera. It's actually in my book, but let me pull it up on the computer for you. All right, so here's, when I read Gematria to you, I start with the simple and go to the Jewish. So I wanted to show that to you. And then the other thing I wanted to show to you, when we come down here, these are the associations. Here's what I wrote down in my book. Oh, Moon, Mary, George, Rose, England, Magician, Birth, Bible Code, Shark, because we've seen that in I Pet Goat, Jews, and then for the Jewish Gematria up here, 136, I saw Cobra, and I thought that was worth noting. Let me find it again. Oh, here it is. So this is worth noting because this is the name, this is the agent name of the guy who's speaking here. So not saying that he is chimera, of course, just that he has a esoteric frequency analogy to chimera. And I guess that makes sense. You know, you would need someone who is equal, you know, on par in the frequencies to oppose them. I'm not sure what Cobra's actual role here is, but he mostly talks about his communications between the houses of control and the updates of progress of freeing the planet. So I also Gematria Chimera group. Let me show you that. I thought this was interesting because it's the 134. That's the number that was on the fire engine, the date, the number of days between the Philadelphia train wreck and 923. I think this is a wrong spelling here. I think there's two S's here. I wish people would go through and fix the spelling of these. But, you know, because I'm actually not sure now. And then I don't want to take the time to look it up again. But here are the associations just in the Jewish, the planet Earth. Here comes the light, lunar eclipse, supreme being. So these are, so I don't know if the chimeras were thought to be supreme beings or not. Okay, well here it is in the Wikipedia. It does look like it's said to be an immortal being. Homer's brief description in the Iliad is the earliest surviving literary reference. A thing of immortal make, not human, lion-fronted, snake behind, a goat in the middle, and snorting out the breath of a terrible flame of bright fire. Elsewhere in the Iliad, Homer attributes the rearing of the chimera to Asimodorus. She was a mother of a chimera who breathed raging fire, a creature fearful, great, swift-footed, and strong, who had 3 heads, one of a grim-eyed lion. We've seen lions, dragons, and goats. So even though this may seem far out in left field, I think we just kind of need to digest the symbolism here so we can be aware when we see lion symbolism popping up, dragon symbolism, and goat symbolism. Goat, I think, is the G-O part of the frog. Dragon, I think, is more about the O-R, the 33. So this is a saying that they say a lot in these interviews, victory to the light. And this is supposedly a Galactic Confederation saying, having to do with the freeing of this planet. And I guess we are a difficult planet to free, but not the first and not the last planet to free from dark control. So when they say victory to the light, that's what they are implying. But what I wanted to show you was this number here. It looks a lot like a 923. And I have seen this number when it pops up in movies, not when it's like on the wall or really obvious, but when it pops up in a timestamp at the turning of an event or something like that. It does seem to show up at times when things turn for the better, actually, with the 9 in there. But I wanted to show you these associations. 33rd degree, since it's such a big number, you get like these sentences in here. The Hebrew Gematria system, I haven't tried that yet. So Cobra also talks about the archons being removed from the planet, or also being given the opportunity to give up their planet controlling ways. So I was going to show you some pictures of archons here. I think Gnosticism separates the archangels into, maybe they're all archons, but into dark archons and light archons. And you just have to think about your source. So some people are saying that the archons have this face, the gray face. And let me show you this picture. I've been wanting to show you this picture of I think it's Yaldabaoth. It's on a Greek coin. Hold on. Crazy. I cannot find that picture either in my hard drive. I know I have it in my hard drive, and I know I put it on my Google Plus. I can't find it there. I know that Wayne posted it. Can't find it there. So anyway, there was a picture of a Greek coin with a full-on large, not a small gray. It was a large archon-looking guy on the coin. But I wanted to stop here because I often tell you that they're not talking about a moon. This is not a moon goddess. And this coin collection, I got this out of Google Images when I put Wayne Herschel coin, shows you the 7 stars of the Pleiades, and it shows you this exoplanet, so that you will just realize that they are not, when they say it's a moon goddess, it's not a moon goddess. Here it says might not be a moon, but a planet. Of course this is not a moon. Look at the shape of it. These guys are really precise. Our moon actually never makes this shape, because this is a different, the relationship, the shadow sides of the Earth and the moon aren't the same relationship as whatever's occluding this planet. You can see this, right? Whatever's occluding this planet is actually smaller than it has a smaller relationship to what's occluding the moon. All right, let's go back to what I was talking about before. So a little bit more about what Cobra talks about, what his major points are. That he says that the veil is in the process of being lifted. It's happening constantly, and that's why people are feeling this, and that is what is causing. It's not causing so much. If there wasn't a fear programming happening in the media, it wouldn't be causing much of a fear. And you might have noticed the people around you have become calmer and nicer. So as the veil lifts, actually things are getting better for the good people, but I think it's causing tension for the people who are naturally dark, or people who are heavily programmed, and they're struggling with their reality as their dark programming is lifting. Another one of his main things is that there's actually nothing to fear. They have this all under control. So depends on whether you think that or not. There was a time, I think it was 1 or 2 years ago, where Cobra was not guaranteeing that everything was under control. He was saying that we are on the razor's edge, and that the Galactic Confederation at the time was ready to they were on alert for drastic intervention, because the Archons and the Dark Chimera were threatening to blow the planet up, basically. I guess they have some high-tech bombs that they're holding the planet hostage with, according to Cobra's version of things. And so it wasn't always a happy story here, the way that Cobra told it, but now he says that there is nothing to fear, although there are still some what he calls strangelet and toplet bombs. And he says, were it not for the presence of these bombs, this planet would have been liberated already. It's just that these bombs are powerful enough to take the solar system with it, and also affect other solar systems. So that's why it's a delicate operation. One of his other things that he talks about is Jade Helm. He says that Jade Helm is actually a military interaction between the positive and the negative military, and that it doesn't pose any negative threat for the surface population. I have always thought that Jade Helm was about protecting the bunkers, so that people could get into the bunkers. And when Cobra started to say this, that Jade Helm was nothing to worry about, I started to wonder if Cobra was just kind of playing more of the aware people along, to give everybody time to get in the bunkers. So that's why I have had kind of a suspicious view. You know, I don't, not so much against it, but just I like to look at all the clues and keep all the options open. I'm going to run this through the Gematria counter. Hold on. So as we have seen that these statements, when they put these on CNN and other places, these are very important Gematria statements. And this one has a 440, which is very similar to a 404, which is a Revelations number. And Timothy Barger also did a recent video on this number. And I'll try to remember to put his links in my description. But if I fail, Timothy, you can go ahead and leave a comment, because sometimes I get done with these videos and I just go and do something with my family. I forget everything that I was doing. I wanted to show that this is a 88, and this is the way. We've talked about the way a lot. The way seems like one of their more important codes. That would be 49, which equals the way, and it equals a lot of other important words. So here you could see, if this was a 49, you would see it was a 923 with a 4 in it, and the 4 would be for the dome. Since these are big numbers, I don't expect to find anything useful down here, because these sentences, I like to have that in smaller chunks. So from this, I would say either they geometrically picked this out, or it's also possible, because I think we need to give more credit to the natural arising of matching frequency. So if these are people who are trying to save the planet and they are connected, they would, of course, be intuitive, intelligent, and would probably naturally pick out headings for their articles that would have, to me this looks like hopeful Gematria code. And the way that Cobra describes it, this would be beyond Revelations, because he doesn't talk about Revelations. He talks about galactic politics, galactic intervention on a planetary scale. And so that's kind of like, you know, Revelations on steroids. All right, well, let me just tell you a few more things, just to give you a summary in case you're not familiar with Cobra's work. And usually there is a interview that comes up every month, usually done by Rob Potter. I have run his numbers too. Actually, I did his numbers by hand. Let me pop those in. So it's interesting that the last one we looked at had a 4923, and here we have a 774. And I have seen this. Actually, I'm going to show you, because we've seen this number and this number recently. So let's take a look down here. I'll show you what it is. Isis. Goddess Isis, Eternal Love, Holy Ghost, Hollywood, Butterfly, Nelson Mandela, Electricity, Destroyer. This is the name that some New Age people are giving to the a dwarf star, or, you know, some kind of incoming object. Judgment Day, Book of Life. Just want to show you these. Orion's Belt. Okay, so that brings me to another point that Cobra talks about, is that where does evil come from? He says that some beings made a choice to immerse themselves in some programming, and it happened having to do with Orion. I'm sorry, I can't really explain it better than that. And I know that it's a lot to climb through, you know, these Cobra teachings are really a lot to climb through. He does, in this interview right here, which is really long, I would start it right around 19 minutes, but right around here, he does talk about these points, and you might be interested to hear him explain that. So Cobra's main teaching is that there will be an event, and there was supposed to be an event window which has already elapsed. However, he said, I think that something, you know, basically they were able to defuse enough bombs that they lengthened the window into which where the event could happen. And they were going to force the event faster in the case of the Chimera and the Dark Cabal trying to kill all the humans. Then they would force the event faster. But basically, the event is an energetic event to where they break through the levels of the quarantine. He says there's many, many layers of the quarantine, and they're all very they're in the astral and other dimensions, and they're also very technical, and they have to be basically dismantled. And then when that happens, we will be joined with, we'll be freed of the dark energy, and the dark energy will immediately be gone, according to Cobra. And he says after this event that we will be brought up to speed with the technology that we are supposed to have. If they hadn't killed all of our scientists, we would have had lots of technology to make life comfortable for many people. So he says we will be brought up to speed with that technology. Also, he says that we have technology that will heal our planet. So a lot of people are brokenhearted about our planet, and this might bring you comfort if you choose to believe this, that we do have technology that will heal the planet. It's just that while the Dark Cabal is in control of the planet, they will kill anybody who tries to use this technology. So we have to win freedom for the planet first. Then the planet can be healed. It's not a big magical thing where people from outer space come and give us technology. This is our technology that we deserve to have, just that our scientists have been killed, and the technology has been held from us. So that's his view. Also, the view is that we will move to a more cooperative society where people will not struggle for the basics, and also people won't have to work 8-hour days, and that we will move to a 4-hour a day work day, or even less. One of his other things that he teaches is that, let's see, he says the magnetic pole shift is already underway, and even a full magnetic pole reversal will not substantially disrupt life on the surface. He says he's not at liberty to talk about a physical pole reversal. Let's see. So Cobra's advice for these days is to keep your center and keep your focus. Stay sober. Stay sober. Try not to get hysterically drawn along with false flags. There will be some turbulence. He says that it's good to have 3 months supply of your basics, your food and water and medicine, and that you could also be called upon if you choose to comfort and explain things to your neighbors in case they feel the disruption. But what's going to also happen, Cobra says, is that when the event happens and when the media is freed, that the media will actually give a large and deep explanation to everybody and help everybody adjust to a freer planet. So I wanted to bring this to you because some people aren't aware of it, and also it's a large body of concepts. It takes many hours and weeks, and I've been following it for at least a year, if not more, not fully and in depth. I don't get every interview, and I have been thinking about all the concepts as we go along. I don't think I've just been buying it. When I first started listening, though, I wasn't as aware of the numbers in the Gematria as I am now. So there are a lot of things that I didn't I'm just scrolling down on his blog, that I didn't really, investigate as we go along. But there's a lot of stuff to read here. And in case you would like to balance some of the craziness with a hopeful message, this would be the place. Now, this vehicle right here is a Pleiadian vehicle that, according to the secret space program, was given to the positive military. So if you see this, it could also be a negative military too. Of course, they have those things as well. So if you see this, it is very unlikely that it has star people in it. It's more likely that it has positive or negative military in it. And they do have telepathic. They can read your mind as well. They they don't choose to read your mind, but if you sent a message, like if you saw one of these and you sent a message to it telepathically, they could hear you. They have that ability. And they do also have the ability to scan your passive thoughts, although I don't think that they choose to do that. All right, well, I hope this has been interesting and informative for you, and let me know what you think in the comments. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.